you see that card, generally it means that you are about to meet your spiritual teacher or a mentor in whichever form it is supposed to be met. We are seeing two followers, and then we see the spiritual teacher. He has his shepherd's crook, and then this symbol. He's accepting the knowledge from God. He is the God speaker. Those who do not get stuck into this card, they are very, very mindful about what to say, when to say, and to whom to say. True difference between this guy and this guy. This guy is all about service. This guy is building his dreams. Whenever you go to that level, sacred geometry also opens up to you. You don't need really to study it. Hello, beautiful souls. So today we will be talking about the next card in the major arcana sequence, and that is the Hierophant. What a powerful card. Now, Hierophant, it's all about traditions and seeing yourself either as a shepherd, right, or as a sheep. And it teaches us, whenever we meet that type of card, to understand where we are in the process of that type of belief system where we are currently living. So if we meet that type of card in the now position, let's say what is happening with me right now, and I draw this card, then it might possibly mean that you get stuck into your mental world right now and you are adhering to lots of traditions, and maybe it's time, it's kind of like showing to you, maybe it's time to rise beyond this level of a sheep to the level of a shepherd and start figuring out your own pathway. In the future position, let's say what will be with me in the future, or it's just not a really great question, but any kind of question which is related to the future timing perspective, and you see that card, generally it means that you are about to meet your spiritual teacher or a mentor in whichever form it is supposed to be met. Now let's analyze the card. So here we are seeing two followers, and we can see that their heads are kind of like empty. They are covered with these hats. So they are empty. They are at the same time very open to teaching. They are followers. And then we see the spiritual teacher. He's like represented like a pope in Christianity traditions. He's literally looking that way, right? He knows something and he's teaching those who are below him. So he represents the authority center. He has his shepherd's crook, right? And it gives him the authority symbolism here. And then this symbol, what you can see with his 5 fingers, it's also replicated with a number of 5. We can see here also the 5 in here, and also like this V, it's also like written as 5. It's all about this number 5, and like a vowel of all creation. He's accepting the knowledge from God. So he is the God speaker. So many spiritual teachers here, gurus in India, they go and master that card. But the problem with these cards mastery, let's say you still didn't master all the previous codes within you correctly, and that's what's happening, by the way, with many Indian gurus here. They don't master all the previous cards, all the previous codes correctly. They do specific purification processes, and then they go to the West, presenting themselves as a guru, and then just because the symbols, the codes from the previous cards are not correctly established within their structures, what's happening is they got destabilized and they do lots of harm to people in the West. So there are multiple cases about that, how Indian gurus actually come to the West and they just clash with the westernized world and being seduced by everything what is presented in the West. I don't say everyone is like this. I'm saying that you cannot really overjump the steps, and all those steps in the ladder are presented in a wise way in the Tarot Major Arcana set. So if we see it that way, everything becomes apparent. Now, he definitely knows something. So he reads all that knowledge. These types of people usually can easily access Akashic records per request. They can see it all in quite many details, but at the same time, those who do not get stuck into these cards, they are very, very mindful about what to say, when to say, and to whom to say. You cannot just have access to those records, guys, and just go spread it to the world per request, because this guy only spreads it it when it is necessary and it is benevolent for life. It doesn't see really anyone as an individual. It sees it as part of life, of a big sacred geometry, structural life perspective. It doesn't see you as an individual anymore. Then only in this case it can go to the next card, the love. But if it gets stuck into that spiritual leadership and just starts pursuing its own interests, again becoming heavier on that, I know, so it stops being really a vassal. What's happening is his knowledge dry out. He starts using all these accesses which he has right now and all the keys which he has right now to his own benevolence. He didn't really fix this structure and he has to go to the previous card, and the previous card, it's the Emperor card. He naturally slides down there. In the world he is presented as a spiritual leader, but in reality he's more like an emperor. He's building up his own dreams, because the true difference between this guy and this guy is all about service, already service to the world. This guy is building his dreams, and there is a difference about it. So this guy is creating his tribe for building his own territory, his own dreams, to make them happen. He's not truly going there and serving the world. It can be like a justification. Yes, I am giving, I know I shall receive. There are certain types of codes he knows already. He's very close to this card, but this guy is all about true service. So in the moment the high priest starts serving his own interests, he goes back to the card of the emperor. And there are in fact many spiritual leaders here who are in fact emperors. They are not truly high priests. Now we can observe here the keys. The keys actually represent the keys to the heaven. So do you remember in the Bible when Jesus gave the keys to Peter and he authorized Peter with the keys from the heaven, and it was said, what is above, that is below, meaning that whatever you lose here in earth, it will be lost in heaven. Whatever you gain here in earth, it will be gained in heaven. And this guy knows about it. It's like a living bodhisattva. Do you remember that in one of the previous videos I've shown you that Bodhisattva, Avalokiteshvara, which is the same thing as Guanyin or Guanyin per Chinese traditions, the goddess of compassion and love. So she is pretty much similar to this high priest representation. Do you see? She has the same tiara. It's like looking like tiara. This every small Buddha sitting here. And if we look into the crown with all the jewelry in it, like the ornament, it's also like the three-step tiara. And he's kind of like lightened by the sun, and he's in complete ultimate peace. Look at this representation, pretty much the same, just her tiara is much higher, right? So she probably knows slightly more than our high priest. Now, whenever you go to that level, sacred geometry also opens up to you. You don't need really to study it. Lots of knowledge is opening up to you naturally. It's not about studying it. You just go to the records, not through internet, not through Google. What's happening here, you start working on the energy level. And through that energy level, you have access to all the ancient codes of this creation. I know this just because I experienced this throughout all my meditations. It's very easy. It's not this thing that you go and study it. You can use specific learnings just to figure out the missing puzzle in that creation, but in fact, you inquire and it is given. You inquire and it is given. That's the mode of operation within this card.